After spending 2 days in Gettysburg, today's adventure finds us packing up our campsite and heading a little further south, where we'll spend some time exploring some of the region's natural beauty, which has been a relaxing draw for presidents for the last 80 years. I think it's time for lunch. Time for lunch at Mount Alto State Park, Pennsylvania's oldest state park and one of its smallest. Major feature is this pavilion here. It's a great spot to eat lunch. While Mount Alto began as a small local park, the area was also rich in iron resources, leading to the development of an iron furnace in 1807. The success of the iron industry attracted railroad companies to connect with Mount Alto for more efficient transportation of ironworks products, but the railways also provided passenger service from throughout the region. A popular retreat destination, the railroad continued to serve passengers visiting Mount Alto long after the ironworks operations closed down. The site was eventually purchased by the State Forestry Commission in 1902 and has been part of the state park system ever since. After our quick lunch stop at Mount Alto, we headed on south down into Maryland to check out our next location for the day. On our way to Catoctin Mountain Park, right located adjacent to Cunningham Falls State Park near Thurmont, Maryland. The small visitor center features displays about the history of the mountain's inhabitants, including the small tribes of Native Americans and the eventual settlers who used the land. Displays of ironworking tools and the development of campgrounds for the Civilian Conservation Corps and other military and government rehabilitation programs are highlighted also. One of the camps was later chosen by President Franklin Roosevelt as a presidential retreat. FDR called it Shangri-La, and in the 1950s, President Eisenhower renamed it Camp David. Catoctin Mountain features a combination of easy, moderate, and strenuous hikes, some of which follow into neighboring Cunningham Falls State Park of the Maryland State Park System. A single parking area provides access to Hog Rock and the Blue Ridge Summit Vista, two short and mostly flat trails. The grounds of Camp David are not open to the public, although it sits in the center of the National Park Service footprint. The rangers on hand are a good resource to find out if any portions of the publicly accessible grounds may be temporarily closed for increased security measures. Be sure to follow the appropriate signs and directions along the paths, as you may come across locations that say "do not enter" or "no photos or pictures." Near the visitor center, the Blue Blazes Trail follows along a nice stream that was frequented by whiskey runners and moonshine distillers during the Prohibition era.
In these peaceful, serene grounds, July 31, 1929, a deputy sheriff was killed here as part of a raid on the moonshining operation in the whiskey still. Yeah, the operation, of course, was illegal. However, the violence here provoked outrage. And so the remnants of the still here are in honor and memory of those who used the grounds, whether for legal or illegal means. Here we have a replica, I believe a replica, of a whiskey still here at the site of the Blue Blazes run. Whiskey stills, even when illegal operation during Prohibition or other times, even currently in many states, would be illegal to make your own alcohol and sell it or distribute it without a license. But, small family operations might go under the radar, small family operations that might only serve for their own purposes or their own family means, typically might not cause much attention or need for intervention by federal officials. However, here was much more than just a simple family operation. As a matter of fact, they found extensive operations here, enough that would supply Washington and Baltimore and New York. It was very, very profitable business during the era of Prohibition, raising the price from about $2 a barrel to $22 a barrel because of the Prohibition. So it was very profitable. They had a large operation here, hence the idea for a raid to shut down the operation. But here we remember those who used the river, the stream, and the woods and the mountains here in Maryland.
After those 3 relatively short and flat and easy hikes, I decided to give one of the more strenuous ones a try. So I decided to head on up toward Chimney Rock.
The hike up to Chimney Rock can be done as a loop, and you have a couple of different options to go from the visitor center parking lot. There's going to be a steep incline whichever way that you go. There is a way that you would go up some steps and then a couple of less steep inclines to make the loop clockwise, or you can do it counterclockwise, which takes you relatively flat down from the visitor center parking lot toward the camp headquarters, or the park headquarters, which is the old Camp Peniel building. And then you'd be going up a more steep incline directly from there up toward Chimney Rock. That's the route that we're taking here today, but be mindful, this section here, the relatively flat section from the visitor center to the park headquarters, there's a lot of exposed rock and exposed roots. I mean, we are on a mountain. It's not, this section here is not difficult per se, but just keep your eye open as you enjoy the scenery around you, just to make sure that you don't trip on some exposed rock and roots as part of the trail here. Well, we've made it the first mile or so. Looks like we got about another little more than a little mile up to the left, up toward Chimney Rock. We've been staying relatively close to the highway, you know, some back and forth a little bit, but up the foot of the mountain. But it looks like we're going to be heading up the mountain now, so this will be the steeper section that we got going on here. We're above the Camp Peniel building here, and the incline has started. I believe there's about 500 feet of elevation change, roughly, between the visitor center and Chimney Rock. So, let's truck along. As with any hiking trail, just be mindful if you're coming after a rain. Certain parts of trails could be muddy, slippery, have a standing water, so make sure you have proper footwear, especially with trails that continue an incline. So, not an experienced hiker per se. Really just started hiking not too long ago, and they do rate this hike here as a semi-strenuous hike. Some will mark it strenuous, some will mark it moderate, and we've typically stayed to the easier or somewhat moderate hikes. Yeah, the steepness on here, it's definitely a thing. Done steeper, but there are several tree stumps or rock outcroppings on the way up this steep section, just to take a quick little break, catch your breath, get a drink before moving along. About a half mile to go to Chimney Rock. From that sign, it does level off significantly. Still a little bit of an incline. We are still going up a mountain, but the steepness there was pretty tough. I think it probably took me the same amount of time to go a half mile on the steepness as it did to go a little over a mile on that first section between the visitor center and the park headquarters. Let's see if we get rewarded at the end. Now, as we get up closer and closer to the summit, the incline begins afresh. Not as steep as before, but the level increases. And Chimney Rock is just right up here to the left. Wolf Rock, you would pass Wolf Rock on the way to Chimney Rock, coming the other direction from the Park Visitor Center. I think that's the way that we're going to go down. We'll check that on the way down. Chimney Rock was lovely. We're gonna head on back toward the visitor center, the way that most folks were coming from, so we'll swing on by Wolf Rock along the way. Looks like they had an area where they did a prescribed burn at some point. I'm not sure when, but they're letting that grow out. So I just came on back down from Wolf Rock. It's really fun checking out the rock formations, the crevices, the quartzite rock in there as well. Just a little word of advice. When you make your way on there, it's not very well marked for the path up to Wolf Rock from here, which honestly is just right up here, but getting up to the rock, you kind of switch back through. It's really all naturalized and not really trailblazed up to there, despite the opening that makes it seem like it is. It took me probably about, when I was ready to leave Wolf Rock and come back down, probably about a good 20 minutes just to find my way back to where I was, because, you know, again, it's a rock wall ledge full of boulders and tall rocks. So where I think I was, I'd find myself on a cliff face. I'm like, oh, nope, that's not the right way. So it's not really marked well on Wolf Rock itself. They do have a couple of signs about the geology features and such up there, but not necessarily signage for the exiting. So once you get up there, just be mindful of the way that you came and the features there, so you can find your way back without spending a little extra too much time. But we're heading on back the 0.9 miles back toward the visitor center on Park Central Road, and we'll check out the path along the way. Well, coming from Wolf Rock back to the Park Visitor Center, the incline is back. I couldn't really tell you if it's as steep as the other one. It probably isn't, but I'm assuming that means that I'll be going down again. But if you do come this route, or this section, be mindful that the rocks and the stones are looser. So you might lose your footing, excuse me. There are still exposed tree roots and larger stones and larger rocks. Looks like there's some of those up here. And now we are on the backside, the descent going down. Just for me, especially after a steep incline, I prefer to take a less steep decline, just because, again, as not an expert hiker, as more of a beginner hiker, my leg muscles, they get a little jelly-like after the steep on the way up, and then my fear and difficulty would be controlling the legs on the way down. So if any of you guys have any tips, stretches or exercise, or just maybe it's just about the more you do, the more frequently you do, But if you guys have any tips or ideas to help that, or what you guys like to do, leave those in the comments down below. If you guys have ever been to Catoctin Mountain Park, what are some of the things that you guys have liked? What you have experienced with the history of the park, whether parts of it have been opened or closed. We'd love to hear about it. And if you have any ideas as to, or thoughts of where you'd like to see us go next, leave them down below. Well, made it back down to the visitor center parking lot. Oh, it was just a little over 3 hours total for me. And that included my little misadventure around Wolf Rock, stopping to take some photo and video along the way. And speaking of, this is just pretty neat inside the rock wall. But anyway, I digress. And for me at least, I was quite happy and pleased that I went the way that I did. I think most folks go the other way. I had to take it a little slower on the other side because of the jelly legs. But you can go straight ahead. I went straight ahead this way toward Chimney Rock and then back around toward Wolf Rock. And most folks, in my encounter here, most folks were passing by the other way. They had gone up the steps, went to Wolf Rock, and came around toward Chimney Rock, the way that the path was intended. And that may have contributed to my misadventure coming back from Wolf Rock, because I came in the opposite direction. But still, overall, a very nice hike, a very nice view. Well, we had a day here at Catoctin Mountain Park. We're gonna head on down toward Harper's Ferry tomorrow. Follow along, shall we? Hope to see you then.